Thanks for watching. This is going to be my first sort of Q&A, so where you send in some questions and I'm going to answer them. So let's get into it. I've got four questions ready to go today. The first one is, why choose WordPress over alternatives like Shopify or Wix? Question number 2, how often should I back up my website? Question number 3, when should I run updates? How often should I run updates? And question 4, this one came in late. How do I tell how many people are using my website? I get that one often, so I'm going to show you 3 ways that you can tell how many people are using your website. All right, so I'm going to share my screen because I don't want to be on camera the whole time. So we are going to start off. So the first question, why choose WordPress over Shopify or Wix? So this one, I thought it was quite funny. I saw this a while ago. Most people think there's only 2 ways to tie a shoe. There's actually 43,000 possible ways that you can tie shoelaces. I don't know what they are. I barely know one. But yeah, so this is actually very similar to websites. There's probably about that many ways to build a website. So, you can use plain HTML with nothing else, and that would be a website. All the way up to, something like Salesforce, Shopify, WordPress. They're all just ways to build websites, and it's no different to this. In the end, doesn't matter which way we tie our shoe, we end up with tied shoes. And it's the same thing when we build a website. We're getting a website in the end. These are just different methods to getting there. Some are better than others, of course. Some are cheaper, some are more efficient. But it's really, I think, the best way to answer the question is to say, well, what's most important to you? Is it having the most beautiful website? Is it saving the most money? Is it spending the least amount of money? So you kind of have to answer that question and then find the option that's right for you. Yeah, I know people get tripped up because they don't know how to do something, but you can always find someone that knows. All right, so question, before I finish up on that one, with WordPress, a lot of people get tripped up on this. There's actually 2 versions of WordPress. So there's WordPress.com. Okay, now this is fully self-managed WordPress, and it's actually delivered by the company Automatic, who make WordPress. So they have fixed pricing. They manage all your hosting and all of that. They're quite good. Now, they open source WordPress, and it's available at wordpress.org, and that's the free one. This is the one that you get on most hosting services where, they say pay $5 a month and you can get WordPress. They're giving you this open source version. They're very similar. Usually the WordPress.com gets slightly different features, but you're basically getting the same thing. I just wanted to throw that in there. And also, not to talk badly about Shopify, because I think this is, on any kind of managed service, you have to abide by their terms and conditions. If they decide that you can no longer sell candles and you sell candles, they could kick you off the platform because that's their right, that's their terms. So if you do a bit of Googling, there are some ways that you can be shut down by each of these platforms. So it's good to have a bit of a read up on that if you're trying to decide between them. I'm so WordPress biased, it's not funny. I've used it for a very long time. I know what it's capable of, and I think it's a really great platform. Not to say that Shopify or any of these other platforms aren't great. I've used Shopify before and I think it's fantastic, but I do prefer WordPress. And I think that's enough on question 1. So I'm going to just go across now to how often. Question number 2, how often should I back up my website? So for when I'm managing client websites, I back up daily. It's set on a schedule, so I don't have to go in there and click backup. So that makes it a lot easier for me. I get notifications to say that it's done, and I'm happy with that. How often should you back up though? Well, I think the best answer to this is before any changes. If you're going to make a content change, do a backup. If you're going to update plugins or do anything like that, do a backup, because you want to be able to roll back if there's a problem created by that change. You don't want to be tripped up. I do think it's a good idea when you are taking backups to not just leave it on the server where the website is. A lot of plugins that do backups will often just store the backup file in the root directory where the website is hosted. So if you think about it and there's a problem and you can't access that, well, you can't access your backup either. So it's kind of pointless. So it's a great idea to keep it there on the server, but then obviously also download it and put it on a USB, or I like to keep it in a cloud storage like Google Drive or OneDrive or something like that. And I'm going to show you, because we're going to talk about WordPress, so that's going to be the focus of my channel. I'm going to actually show you, I use the Updraft plugin, Updraft Plus. I think it's a fantastic plugin and I would highly recommend it. So I've just installed it on this site and I'm going to click backup. This is all you have to do. Once you install it, you go to the Updraft plugin at the top here, click backup. You will load on this page. And all you need to do is click backup, include your database, and that's just leave the options as is basically. Let it run, and it's going to basically create an archive of your plugins and your database and your media files as well. So that can just run. That's how easy it is. So what it will do is it'll create the files, and then you'll see them here. Which, if it doesn't take too long, I'll be able to show you. There we go. So then what you get is this breakdown of all your files that it's created in this backup. So then if you click on them, it gets them ready to download. And so you can download to your computer just like that. And so you would do that for each one. And I just want to show you as well, that's the manual way to do it. So that's the default. But if you actually go over to this settings tab, you can set a schedule. So you can do it daily, weekly, monthly. And then this other option here is how many copies. So it'll keep 2 versions of the backup. And I would leave it at 2, because if you're leaving it on the server, you don't want to take up too much space. So 2 copies should be fine. And just, I would just do daily. We're only keeping 2 copies unless your site's really massive. Yeah, and this other option here is a bit more advanced. This is, instead of you having to come in and download the file, you could actually set it to go to an external third-party storage option. With my clients, we use Amazon S3. It's the lowest cost cloud storage that I've found. Yeah, it's an S3 bucket. So yeah, and then just leave all this ticked and make sure you save those changes, and then you'll have this backup running all the time, which is awesome. So that'll do us for question 2. Question 3. When should I run updates? So I've got this site up again with an update here. Ideally, you should be running the update when it's available. Now, if you have that backup schedule running, you have something to fall back on if you do an update and it breaks the site in some way. So I would just want to show you, so make sure you do your backup first, but when you actually have an update ready to go, if you go into, say, plugins, for example, this is where most sites, WordPress sites, trip up when a plugin becomes incompatible with another plugin. And the cause behind that is because WordPress is open source, so you get all these different developers, writing different code. Sometimes the code triggers at the same time and they're trying to do the same thing, or they're trying to access the same resource or something like that. And then you get this catastrophic issue where the site crashes. So not good. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that our plugins are compatible. Now, when you're looking at your updates, it actually is going to tell you the plugin developers do testing with other plugins, and then it's confirmed by other users that it's compatible, and we get this kind of tested up to a certain version number. And when I see that, I go, well, there's the plugin that it's talking about. Yeah, so this plugin is only tested up to 3.12, and the update is going to 3.15. So that's not saying that it won't work. It's just saying that no one else has confirmed that it works. So would I not do it? Potentially I could hold off for a few days, come back and check to see if that has changed. Or because I've got my backup there and I could roll back, I could take the risk. Maybe after hours, when I know no one's using the website, I could click update and then just purge my cache and then look at the front end of the site and make sure that nothing's breaking, because I know that this plugin is my page builder plugin. It's responsible for the design of my site, and it says it here. So I know if I update this and it breaks, well, it's going to be the front end. It's going to be the part that people see, the design, that's going to break. And so that would be a big issue. That would be, a reputation issue. It would look very dodgy if a web designer, web developer's site is broken. Doesn't look great. So I would do that after hours and test. Another option is if you have a staging site. So most people won't have this because you're on a budget or whatever. It's where you have 2 copies of your website. The staging one is where you can perform these kinds of tests, and if it breaks, obviously it's your staging site, no one sees it, it's just for your use for development purposes. So because we're on a budget here, we don't want to spend lots of money, we don't want to have 2 websites where we have to manage. So you could also try installing this plugin, WP Rollback. And so what this will do is it'll let you roll back to a previous version of the plugin if something breaks. It's sort of in this screenshot, you'll see it adds another option, rollback, and it just goes back to a previous version. And so that's really nice. Obviously we'd have the backup, but this is a quicker way to kind of just quickly roll back if there's an issue. So I think that covers updates. It's a tricky one. It can be tricky. So if you're not confident, just wait a little bit, but make sure you've got your backups and you can always roll back if something breaks. So where are we up to? That was question 3. Question 4, how do I tell how many people are using my website? This is probably going to be a very popular question. All right, so there is 3 ways. The first way is having Google Analytics added to your website. So in WordPress, there's a lot of different plugins that can help you do this really easily. When you're actually, so you can just sign up for this with a Google account. I'm not going to run through doing all of that in this video. But yeah, so after you log in and you start setting up your website, it actually gives you instructions on how to add it to a WordPress website, which is great. If you want me to help you with that, get in touch because I can help you get that sorted. So what analytics will do is it'll track the user behavior on your website, and that'll give you insights into how people are using it. And that'll help you make changes. You want people to be able to use the website, the most efficient way possible. You want them to be able to find what they're looking for. And so analytics can definitely give you an insight into how people are using it, what they're looking at, your most popular pages, that sort of thing. It's a very, very useful tool. I know some people don't want to use Google Analytics because, it's like feeding the machine. They don't want to give Google any more data. If you're one of those people, I have an option for you. It's called Martimo Analytics. It's an open source tool. It does a very similar thing to Google. It's not, I would say it's probably not as comprehensive. And the reason for that is because they don't actually capture any personal information from your users. So that makes it GDPR compliant. So if you have customers visiting your website from Europe and things like that, this is, it's very similar to analytics. It keeps the data on in your WordPress database. So it's not actually held by some large corporation. It's a good tool. I personally would probably stick with Google Analytics. I prefer the comprehensive information. I've just used them for a long time. I guess I'm comfortable with it. It's like, I'm not going to change the way I tie my shoes now. So that is the first way, is going to be either Google Analytics or a third-party analytics tool like Martimo. Okay, the second way, and now if you aren't using the Google Search Console, and you can find it just by going search.google.com, you should be using this. You should have your site verified and set up in this, because this is how you show up in Google. You submit a sitemap. I think it even says it on this page. They have some nice training videos if you don't know how to use it. I might have gone past it. Yeah, here we go. Get your content on Google. Submit sitemaps and individual URLs for crawling. So this is how you tell Google, hey, come and have a look at my website. It's awesome. And then you'll show up in Google search. This tool also does track the number of visitors to your website. It's kind of like a simplified version of analytics. Analytics you can configure that and track specific goals. With this one, it kind of just says, hey, people went to these pages. You had this many people visit your site. It's very, very simple, but you do need it to be indexed. And it will also tell you, you get emails and it says, problem indexing a product on your website, and it will give you the link. And then you can go and fix that problem. Submit the URL back to Google in the Search Console, and Google will come back and check it and index it. So if you're not using this tool, start using it. All right. And then the last way, so I've just given you two ways, and you're probably sitting there going, oh, great, I don't have either of those set up, so there's no way I can tell, because both of those tools, they're lagging indicators. So you won't know the numbers until later on. Well, that's like any tool, but if you haven't set those up, you're not going to have any way. There's no tool that's been tracking you. Well, I do have a great tool for you called SEMrush. So you can just Google SEMrush or go semrush.com. And I'm not an affiliate for SEMrush. This is just an awesome tool that I like to use. And so SEMrush collects all this data from various websites, and that can give you an idea of, see if I can log in. It can give you an idea of the amount of traffic you've had to your website. So this is great if you didn't have analytics set up until now, or you weren't using the Search Console, and you're going, I just want to get a baseline. Sign up to SEMrush, just for free, and then you can put your site in and get these kind of stats about where you are positioned. And so the really great thing about this tool is that it collects data for pretty much every website, unless it's very, very minimal. Say you had like 1 to 2 people on your website, it won't have that because it's not enough information. But let's say, I'm trying to think of a website. I don't know, should have thought of this beforehand. Let's just try Reddit. I just want to give you an example. I was going to put a client's website in there, but I didn't ask them for permission, so I won't do that. Okay, so this is what we'll get. Now, sometimes it will be slow. I'm obviously recording a video as well, so it's taking a bit of time. Okay, normally it doesn't take this long. Okay, this is what we're going to get. If you put your website in here or a competitor's website, hint, hint, you will get all this information about the amount of traffic going to either your website or any other website. And it'll give you a breakdown of how much of that traffic was organic. Reddit has a lot. And then it will tell you how many organic keywords you rank for. So this tool, SEMrush, is used by really large SEO agencies. To use it, it's a bit expensive. But you can sign up for this free one and you can have it actually monitor your own website as well. I believe there's still a free tier. As I said, I'm not an affiliate. It's just a really great tool to give you some insights, particularly around your competitors. If you know someone in your industry that's doing really, really well, I would suggest doing a little search, having a look at their traffic stats, looking at their keywords. Keywords are important. You can also find their other competitors, similar sites, and look at where they kind of rank as well. You can also kind of understand how much they're paying for advertising. This can be a really good tool to help you come up with a way to market yourself online and get more traffic to your website. So there we go. That's question 1. Why choose WordPress over Shopify or Wix? We went over that. How often should I back up my website? Check, we covered that. When should I run updates? Bang, we hit that one. How do I tell how many people are using my website? So we went over that as well. Analytics, Search Console, and then SEMrush, and then that little nugget of information I gave you about competitor research. So I think that's going to wrap it up for today. I hope you liked the video. I would love it if you left a comment to say which method do you use to tie your shoes? Is it the bunny ears or the round the tree? Leave a comment and let me know.